AOC has a new 2028 path, courtesy of Zohran Mamdani. For years, progressives in America have been running into a funny issue, and it all kind of started with Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. She famously defeated a longtime Democratic incumbent back in 2018. And the narrative a lot of people ran with after that was pretty simple. Her New York congressional district had become more diverse, and so a working-class Latina woman was a better fit than an older, wealthier white man. But in reality, AOC didn't win that race because of an uprising of the working class, or new non-white voters flocking to the polls. She won largely because of college-educated white people who had poured into the district in recent years. And that was the beginning of a very notable trend in politics over the past decade or so. Despite thinking of themselves as champions of the working class, of immigrants, of non-white people, progressives' base of support has largely come from well-off, college-educated white people. Now, there are a lot of reasons for that, but the bottom line is that this has been a huge blocker to progressives' political power in the US. And it's been a big reason why a lot of people have doubted the ability of progressive leaders, especially AOC, to be able to win higher office over and over and over again across the country, from presidential primaries to congressional races to mayoral races. Working class, non-white voters, who, remember, dominate Democratic electorates, especially in cities, have snuffed out progressive candidates. Until Zohran Mamdani. Whether you love him or hate him, Mamdani's victory is a seismic event in American politics, and it's going to have aftershocks that reverberate for years. That matters for Republicans, for Democrats, for people who live in New York City and outside. But it especially matters for someone like AOC, who probably, not certain, but probably, will either run for Senate or president in 2028. Mamdani's win changes the whole game, and for the first time, provides someone like her a roadmap. Let's talk about how. Okay, look, healthcare in this country is broken, including Medicare. Anyone who's tried to navigate the system knows it. It can be insanely confusing and hard. And that's the exact environment that fraudsters and scammers thrive in. I've seen people in my own life have to duck and dodge, losing their life savings just to get the Medicare benefits that they're entitled to. It's infuriating and it's unfair. And that's what Chapter wants to help with. Chapter was founded by people whose own parents got scammed in this space. Their goal is to protect people navigating the Medicare system by cutting through the noise and offering honest, unbiased help. Chapter advocates for you, not insurance companies. And they're the only advisor that compares every plan nationwide, helping you find the plan that's right for you. Chapter is free, and by their count, they've saved the average senior over $1,000 a year. So whether you're retired yourself, close to it, or just looking out for the people you love, you can get free and unbiased Medicare help by dialing 816-953-0470 or go to askchapter.org/the-recount. Okay, back to the show. First, Mamdani broke through the left's wall with young people and non-white people. It's worth really emphasizing here how much progressives have been blocked by non-white voters over the years. Bernie Sanders is a good example here. In both the 2016 and 2020 Democratic primaries, he got destroyed in most heavily non-white, especially heavily black, areas of the country. Look at this. Every single county in states like Alabama and Mississippi, where black voters dominate the Democratic primary electorate, voted against him twice. Whatever you think about the Democratic establishment working against him, whatever, they did not cause him or Elizabeth Warren to lose almost every county in the South. And this kept happening all over the country. From congressional races in Ohio and Louisiana to mayoral races in Philly and San Francisco. And this was also the story of the last Democratic primary for New York mayor in 2021. Progressives went into that race energized, emboldened, thinking it was ripe for victory. But instead, Eric Adams, a moderate former police captain, won the primary. And he won because he got huge margins among Black, Latino, and working class people. The exact people that progressives say their policies are for. In addition to that, the left has promised for years that they could win races by bringing in new voters, especially young voters.
We need to get young people voting in a way they have never done before. That is what our campaign is about.
That simply never ended up happening. There just never was any wave of new, energized young people showing up to save lefty candidates. Those dynamics are why a lot of people, myself included, were really skeptical of Mamdani's chances in the primary. He proved all of that wrong. Yes, a lot of his voters were still well-off white college graduates. But the exit polls from the primary showed that he also won Latino voters, Asian voters, Arab American voters, and crucially, he also held down his losses among black voters. which most other progressive candidates have not been able to even come close to doing. And the data shows that he actually created a new wave of younger voters. It'll take a while to get the full data, but that played out again in the general election. He actually pulled together the multiracial coalition that progressives have been looking for. That doesn't mean it's automatically replicable by other candidates. Demographically, New York is very unique, and it definitely helps to be a young, energetic, good-looking, charismatic guy who can speak multiple languages.
New Yorkers मुश्किल से afford कर रहे हैं रोटी.
But before Mamdani, no one had done it. After him, there's a path. And that breakthrough didn't happen by accident. A big part was that Mamdani successfully neutralized some of the left's biggest liabilities. Look, there is no way around it. Mamdani had a long rap sheet of saying the kinds of things and backing the kinds of ideas that have been big problems for the left, especially on public safety. He repeatedly called for defunding the police, which is very unpopular, and dismantling police, which is even more unpopular. He mocked police officers and used preachy, avant-garde language like Latinx. And yes, to be fair, a lot of that was when he was in his late 20s during the peak woke years, when a lot of people were a little cringy. But Mamdani didn't just say, oh, I was young, whatever. He actively broke with the philosophy behind his posts and statements. He explicitly said that he would not defund the police and would not reduce the number of police officers in New York City.
I will not defund the police. I will work with the police.
He apologized to NYPD officers and publicly said that he didn't believe they were racist. Back in 2020, Adams, the incumbent mayor, who, again, is far more moderate than Mamdani, said that there was, quote, systemic racism in the NYPD. 4 years later, a Democratic socialist said that there wasn't. That matters a lot. And even though it might sound funny, that is also a big part of how Mamdani was able to improve the left's performance with non-white voters. For years, polls have shown that non-white Democrats are far more concerned with issues of public safety and public disorder than white Democrats. Take the Siena College poll from early 2025, which found that Black and Latino New Yorkers were more likely to support a plan to put police on the subway than white New Yorkers. That divide is driven by an especially huge split among Democrats. A 2021 Politico Marist poll, for example, found Black and Latino Democrats were way more likely than white Democrats to support more police on the subways. And that divide is part of a general cultural disconnect between white Democrats, who tend to be more wealthy and more liberal, and non-white Democrats, who tend to be more working class and more culturally moderate. A 2023 Pew survey found Black and Latino Democrats are far more concerned about stuff like education, crime, and the plight of poor people, while white Democrats are far more concerned with stuff like climate change and reducing the role of money in politics. And this matters a lot, given non-white Democrats' concerns are much closer to average Americans' concerns. You can very fairly think that climate change or money in politics are big problems, but it doesn't change the core fact. For years, progressives in America have prioritized the kinds of issues that appeal to a narrow slice of the country, while often advocating for the kinds of ideas, like less police, that actual real voters of all races either don't care about or outright oppose. Mamdani learned that lesson, adjusted his policies, and reaped the rewards with voters of all races. For other progressives who maybe have some tweets or positions from their 20s that could be real problems, that creates a real model of how to neutralize those liabilities, pivot, and move on. But that moderation didn't extend to everything. As everyone knows, Mamdani never backed down from his opposition to the existing state and government of Israel. Now, there's a lot of nuanced stuff at play here, but his win underscored a simple fact. The electorate has changed. No longer is Palestinian advocacy a political liability. Now, especially in Democratic primaries, lockstep support for Israel is the political liability. That is a real warning sign for Democratic primaries in the future. But contrary to what you might have heard, Mamdani didn't actually talk a lot about Israel or Palestine. Overwhelmingly, he aggressively focused on the cost of living. Again, even as he moderated on issues like policing, Mamdani did not back down on populist, progressive economic proposals. And for the current Democratic Party, that's a big deal. Partly because of some of those unpopular positions on issues like public safety, polls have increasingly shown that voters perceive the Democratic Party as being most focused on cultural issues like diversity or LGBTQ rights, and less focused on bread and butter issues like costs and the economy. That's obviously a big part of how Trump won in 2024. Fairly or unfairly, voters felt that he was more focused on the cost of living. Mamdani again learned that lesson. For all the insistence from some people that he was some woke warrior, his campaign was objectively, relentlessly focused on cost of living.
Cost of living, cost of living, cost of living.
to the point that even some conservatives praised his focus on it.
He did something pretty unique and very smart.
We know affordability is an issue, and I think that you've done a lot, actually, to bring people's attention to that issue.
And that's a reminder that Democrats, and especially progressives, positions on economics are way more popular than their positions on culture. Americans, including tens of millions of Republican voters, support policies like raising taxes on the wealthy, expanding healthcare access and union protections, capping prescription drug costs, and curbing corporate power. It's on issues like immigration and transgender participation in sports where Americans, including tens of millions of Democratic voters, are more favorable to Republicans. So it's not just that Mamdani's positions on economics and the cost of living were popular. It's that he centered his campaign on those issues. And because of that, a lot of people were willing to look past whatever other reservations they might have had about it. That's a crucial lesson. We talked about this in our post-election episode. Go check it out. Cost of living is the next frontier in American politics. It's the battlefield that the next few elections are going to be fought on. The politicians and the party that win that battle, that successfully convey that they are the most laser focused on it, are likely going to win this era. And for a progressive like AOC, successfully signaling that you're focused on economics and the cost of living, whether you're campaigning in a Senate primary in upstate New York, or a presidential primary in New Hampshire, or a general election in Michigan, is a crucial asset. But it's not just that Mamdani provided a path for AOC's future. It's that she, the political left, and the entire Democratic Party now has a lot invested in Mamdani's success. And the reason for that is simple. New York City is now the center of the political universe. Think about it. New Yorkers are at the top echelons of government. Out of all 50 states, the one that swung the most towards Trump in 2024 was New York. Out of all 435 House districts, the one that swung the most towards Trump was in New York City. And now, the city has become the site of the left's biggest political victory in modern history. New York is a microcosm of the forces changing American politics, which also means that, in the next few years, the city will become a crucial testing ground for Mamdani's ideas, with huge stakes for everyone involved. Say, for example, Mamdani runs into resistance from the city council or the governor, and struggles to enact his agenda. New York City is a big, hard city, and he's never had anything close to this job. Or say he does enact his agenda, and it just doesn't work. Or he just generally becomes unpopular, as progressive mayors like Brandon Johnson in Chicago often have. That will be a huge setback for the left. Their experiment in the biggest city in the country will have failed, and it will especially hurt AOC. Remember, she put a lot on the line backing Mamdani in the primary, back when he was behind in the polls. And she played a big role in helping him win. He will be an example to the electorate of what her ideas look like when they're actually implemented. If that goes poorly, you can take president and maybe even Senate off the table. Or Mamdani could succeed. His ideas could work. He could get popular and stay popular. And this, to me, is a real possibility. A lot of people have this idea baked into their worldview that if one party is excited about running against someone or using them in their ads, that they're automatically a political liability. But that's just not always true. Someone like Ron DeSantis is a good example here. Democrats hated him from the moment he won the Florida governorship, and he stayed pissing them off at every turn. Democrats raised millions of dollars just by using his name and picture, and none of that mattered. DeSantis got popular, stayed popular, won re-election in a landslide, and ended up helping his party. Or look at the most famous Democratic socialist in America. Many Republicans love to rail against Bernie Sanders, but every poll finds he is one of, if not the, most popular politicians in America. Voters are complicated, and sometimes what the other party hates is what normal people like. Now, of course, we don't know what AOC's next move will be, and she could always choose to just stay in the House. All indications are that a presidential campaign in 2028 would be a big challenge in a crowded field. Polls do show that a Senate bid, when she'd be primarying Chuck Schumer, would be much easier. But whatever happens, there is now, for the first time, a new world for politicians like her. What do you think about Mamdani's win? Are you excited? Scared? Let me know in the comments below. And while you're at it, hit the subscribe button and hit the bell so you know every time we post a video.